6 points. Well, 6 topics. 6. Ooh,
You can say
that's
6
too
points,
many.
like 6 points.
6 bullets. Just don't
But we're
say.
only doing half.
But yeah, we are. We are only doing half today. So this is part 1 of a 2-parter. Who knows? With the way we talk, it might turn into a 3-parter. But the plan is 2-parter. But we are going.
Speak for yourself.
This is true.
I'm just kidding.
Well, in all fairness, the funny thing, you ready for this? I'm the quiet one in my family.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
I don't
Imagine
even want to think about that.
family gatherings at my house. I'm usually the quiet one. I just kind of sit there. I'll talk a little bit, but my sister and my brother, so much more. My dad's the quietest, actually, but I'm saying out of us siblings. And my cousins, oh gosh. Yeah.
Anyways,
but
so talking about today, we're going over an article called The 6 Advancements in Physical Therapy for 2023. So it talks about things that you should keep an eye out for. There are 6 total. We're going to be going over 3 of them today. And I will leave links down in the description below for you to check out the article yourself if you're interested. And with that, let's just jump into the episode.
All right, let's go.
You're listening to the PT Assistance Podcast with your hosts, Ken
and Laura. Thanks for joining for another exciting episode. All right, guys, and let's go ahead and get into this. So Ken found a very interesting article.
That I did.
That he did, because Ken's really good at this. He's really good at finding some really good articles, guys. And I'm not being sarcastic. That's for reals, actually. But Ken found an article that says 6 latest advancements in physical therapy. So I figured Ken actually did. Let me restate that. Ken was like,
Right.
hey, I think this would be good to talk about.
Trying
So
to take all my credit here.
I gave it to you. I don't know what you're talking about.
True, you did at the beginning.
I straight up was like, oh, nope, not me. This was Ken. And we were reading through it and we're like, ooh, interesting. And we started talking about it and we were like, oh, we should record this because we've got opinions. And
that we do.
It's mostly
It's mainly Laura. Laura's got all the opinions.
I have a lot. I think it's the ginger hair in me. I don't know, but it definitely like sets you up for some very, very
strong opinions.
Yes.
Let's just go with that. All right. Well, I'll read the first one. So the first one is, we'll leave the link to this article in the description below, by the way, just in case anybody wants to check it out. But the first one is motion capture tech. So they talk about mainly like telehealth therapy, where they send you some equipment that you attach to yourself and they'll log your range of motion, it'll log your movement. And they use this in order to get kind of their accurate feedback, even though they can't be with you. What do you think, Laura?
I've seen this. It's actually kind of cool. So one of the telehealth that I was originally going to try to do before I left Dell, we were going to do an episode on it, but it never panned out. But they had it where it was kind of like, think of like an iWatch or a Fitbit, like a band type thing with like a little small device on it. And it would wrap around different portions of your body. And so like you go around your bicep, one around your wrist, one around your ankle. I think there's one that fit around your quad, and there was like a core one. And it was more to register like your body within the space and how it's moving. So that way the therapist could give proper feedback to you. It's an interesting concept. I don't know how I feel.
So for me, I think it's more of a matter of, can the patient hook it up correctly?
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, this day and age, there's a lot of technology coming out, but I mean, even for like the geriatric patients that I have now, I can't imagine sending that to them and then be able to figure out how to appropriately place it, probably download this app and make sure they calibrate it correctly so that I have correct information.
Yeah, I agree on that.
So
And that's
I
the
don't
thing
know if there's
too.
like a margin for error, if they're going to send somebody out to help you the first time, and it's like all subsequent visits they're going to wear it. But I mean, they're supposed to wear it during their sessions as well. So while they're doing bridges and SLRs, like during all that, they're supposed to have all this equipment on so you can see how they're doing, how far they're going. But I think there's a lot of room for error, in my opinion.
Yeah, for me, I feel like at that point, like what they're trying to do, I feel like I could just see over a Zoom in a way. For the most
You
part,
just kind of like
like
guesstimate, like, that looks about like 100 degrees.
well, but I don't think it registers like how much like degrees you're actually getting, because there's gotta be like room, of course, for error. I feel like me and my PT play a game of Laura guesses the range of motion. No joke.
That sounds like fun.
She literally, because I did it one time, I was like, "Ooh, that looks about this," and she's like, "Hold on," and she measured, and she goes, "You're like 2 degrees off," and I was like, "Well, I kind of rounded," and so then it's literally she was measuring a patient's knee flexion the other day, and she goes, "Laura, what do you think it is?" From across the room, and I was like, this," and she goes, "You're only 3 degrees off," and I was like, "Yeah." So she does it to me all the time.
So you're getting pretty
So
good
like,
at this.
yeah, I was like, it's like a game. But you do get better at guessing, like kind of estimating the range of motion, degree wise. But I don't know, again, if the patient's not setting in the same spot, is that degree really accurate from the degrees before it? Um, do you have to charge these things every single time before a session? Because let's be honest, half
That's
the
a good point.
time you forget to charge things. Like, I can't tell you how many times, even my laptop, I'm like, "Ooh, snap, it did not charge overnight. I thought it was plugged in fully," and my work laptop's not, and so I'm hooked up to a wall. Um, how fast do they die? Like, there's just, I feel like a lot of error for these things, and a lot of complication, again, setting it up, like making sure it's on correctly each time. Um, we show patients exercises and they can't even go home and do it correctly. And so it makes me a little concerned when you've got things like that. How really useful are they at that point? Like, I feel like you're going to be anyways looking at their form based off of what
Just kind
you
of
can visually
visually.
see. Yeah.
But what if it's not a like telehealth visit? So let's say it's more of a monitoring thing. So you give them the equipment and it's like, hey, I want you to do this 3 times a week. So they have to wear it 3 times a week, and then you
Yeah.
get like a report back.
Yeah.
Do
No,
you think that would be
like,
better than
I
like a
think that's
telehealth
more
visit, or do you think
liable.
it should work in conjunction with like an actual, like, okay, let's put on the video, let me watch you do it, and you have to wear the equipment?
I've seen both, honestly. I saw one that they don't, like, they'll have a live visit and then you wear the things while you're off, and then I saw another one where you just wear them throughout the visits. Um, like, I get it, but at the same time I'm kind of like, again, how do you know that those are placed correctly when they're doing their HEP? Um, how do you know that? Like, they could still be on. You could stick it on a dog, and who knows what will show up. It's just like, I don't know. There's fine details that I just don't see that measuring correctly in a way either. To replace like a visual, you visually actually monitoring them.
So the one that we just described, there's 2 examples that they give in the article. So we kind of described the second one, which is called a Cypher skin. So that one's a newer technology where it measures the patient's limb movements. It goes around the arms, the legs. It can assess your range of motion, force generation, and muscle growth, which is kind of crazy. It can also monitor your vital signs, so heart rate, body temp, and
Wait.
oxygen.
How do they know it's muscle growth?
That I know.
I'm like, if it's
So
just
we
around
haven't.
what the band is, that could just be fat too.
So I mean, just from our experience, like we've heard of like some of this technology, but we haven't done full deep dives into these. So maybe down the road we'll do an episode dedicated to these once we look into it more.
Yeah, again, we tried. I just wasn't able to commit to trying it prior to leaving.
So that's the one that we've been talking about. So the second
I should make
one,
the husband do it.
Yeah, you can attach things to him. Why not?
Well, no, he can still get the virtual physical therapy. He's got back problems.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Then you can order all the stuff and see how user friendly it is.
Yeah.
The second one they talk about is an exobionics. So this is an exoskeleton suit, total body for muscular rehab, and it's supposed to help you overcome limb paralysis and deal with fatigue during therapy. Any thoughts?
I want the research on that one. It
Yeah, I
sounded
kind of
a
read it.
little ultrasoundy.
Well, I read it twice now.
personally.
Yeah, it's kind of, again, like we haven't done the research on both these kind of suits, but I mean, it does definitely pique some curiosity as to how effective, what research has gone
Well,
behind them.
like, are
But
they talking about like the exoskeleton, like the ones where you attach it for walking? Like, for example, have you seen those ones where
like
they're
a
paralyzed
full,
and they attach them to like the legs, and then they help assist with the walking?
I mean,
Like, are
that
they
kind of
talking about
sounds like what
that,
this
or are
is.
they? Yeah,
That's what it says. So it's a full
like
length
I've seen
device
those.
that assists patients with all types of mobility impairment, so such as limb paralysis.
Yeah, so maybe okay, that's maybe the ones that they're talking about. I was thinking more of like an actual suit, and I was like, what? So like if it's kind of those, like, yeah, I've those have definitely worked. The issue we run into in this field, and this goes for any healthcare field, and this is the part that just sucks, and I'm gonna just put it out there because I'm gonna just be the little devil's advocate right now, is that costs a lot of money and not everybody can afford it, and sometimes it's not worth it because of the fact that like places won't have it or they won't get it because of the fact that it's not worth it. They're like, okay, well, this might get you to walk, you know, from one end to like, or just within the parallel bars, for example. And they're like, we're not going to get it for you just because of that. And it just sucks. But like, I get the justification too of like, if this isn't really going to improve your overall daily living, like that cost a lot of money. And so it's kind of like, we'd rather get things that are more going to actually impact your day-to-day life than get you things that realistically you're not going to get back a normal life, I guess you could say. Does that make sense?
No, it does.
Or
I
is
mean, it's
okay.
more like the accessibility and the practicality. It's
Yeah. They're cool.
not, no, for sure, but it's just, yeah, not as accessible. Not every place is going to carry them. And I mean, I haven't been in a neuro clinic. I feel like maybe in a neuro clinic it might be more useful
Yeah.
because they have more patients who are dealing with these kinds of impairments. But as far as like an outpatient clinic that we're in, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, I was thinking more of like if you're having it in your clinic, it makes more sense if you're like in a neuro clinic. I was thinking more of like actually getting them assigned because I can't see those things being
Oh, for
like,
like you to take home.
yeah, like I don't, the ones at
Yeah,
least I'm thinking of are not really like one size fits all. They're usually like, from what I could tell, like
that's the other
custom made.
problem. Yeah,
So they're just costly, and so it's just like I feel like until the technology gets better, improves a little bit more, and until the technology gets unfortunately cheaper, I don't see it really making a big dent in the physical therapy field. Does that make sense? It sucks
it
to
does.
say it because I wish that wasn't the case. I really wish it wasn't, but I think it is. It's unfortunately like.
Yeah, the more companies would have to make it and then make it more competitive. But
Mm-hmm.
this technology, a lot of what we're talking about today is just newer. Well, most of them, anyways. Laura's gonna be the devil's advocate for a certain one,
One of
but
them.
most of these ideas are newer, so they are going to be more expensive, less accessible, and it's just things to kind of keep an eye out for the future, and perhaps
Yeah.
will become the norm at some point. But for now, it's just
Yeah,
kind of
you
coming out
you
and
think
just kind of
about other things
conversation.
like tents used to be only in homes. Massage guns used to be so much more expensive. Um, Technology does improve, and it does get a little bit cheaper. Usually, the big thing is if if they can find a way to benefit the mass, then it's going to be easier to justify. Or if even if you could get something like that and make it adaptable where it's not just a one size fits all type setting. But I don't know, I definitely can see wearable tech. Don't get me wrong. I think wearable tech we're seeing slowly increase over time. Like, for example, smartwatches with heart rate monitors, O2s, ECGs. What else am I missing? What else they got on there? Gosh. But
just to go overall wearable tech.
Yeah, overall wearable tech is getting better. It's getting cheaper. It's becoming more available to the norm, to the generalized population. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, I mean, they're coming out with a lot. They're coming out with
so there's definitely possibilities, but do I think we're going to see a massive boost this year? No. I still think a lot of the tech that they're talking about is just too expensive and not enough use cases yet for it. It's more of just one-offs, and so I don't think we'll see it really boom.
That might be the general theme moving forward. But let's go to number 2.
I don't know.
So number 2 is virtual reality. So the idea of virtual reality of Facebook or Meta having theirs, Apple's having theirs, or it's probably in the works. But if VR will play a role in physical therapy. So they've done, looks like, some research with people with Parkinson's disease, and they worked on their balance and their gait, and they said that the VR definitely helped them significantly get better and improved far more than a conventional physical therapy group. So it seems like VR is finding its way into physical therapy.
Yeah, I can see the benefits of VR, honestly. It's fun. It's a different way to do things. It's a way to challenge people, put them in a different setting, make it a little bit more just not feel let's be honest, most patients don't like physical therapy because it feels like a lot of exercises and working out, and that's no fun. So I definitely can see the benefit of it, and then just the mentality of patients also would be a little bit better with it. When it comes to VR, I think the hardest part is it's not justifying the billing. It's just that, it's a little more work because, you've got set exercises that you don't really have to put too much justification in when charting because they've been proven and reliable. Where if you're starting to use VRs, there's a lot more of patient used VR walking on balance beam to improved, which again, you can justify it, improved balance to prevent falls on uneven surfaces or something. You could justify all that. It's just I feel like a lot more work, and I think that's why we don't see it more often. And it's technology, it breaks, and it can cost money up front that a lot of places don't want to spend.
So I'm definitely gonna kind of go back to what we talked about in the first one, where it's a matter of accessibility, right? So they talk about in the article that they will send patients the VR headsets in the mail, and then with the physical therapist, they will overview it. They will see what they're going to do, download the programs they're going to have, and then go from there. And it comes into at the point, do you ask for the equipment back after their treatments are done? Do they get to keep the headset? Do they have to pay for it? Does insurance cover it? So now it's kind of running more into the same issue as before, like accessibility, affordability, and I can see definitely the benefits because, like you were saying, this is a new way to look at things, right? Yeah. So it keeps it fresh. It keeps it engaging for a lot of people. Whether you're young and you're old, you see it and it's like, oh, this is cool. This is fun. And it's a nice way to kind of get into that overall movement. But at the same time, how many people are going to be able to operate it?
I agree.
You got to make sure your patients are ready for that.
You can set it up. That's the nice thing is you can put it on and set it up. But I definitely don't think it'd be an something that patients would get to take home. I think it would be like an in-clinic only thing, and that's the only downfall too, is because how are they supposed to be able to practice these things at home? Like, one of the biggest things is the fact that, you want them to be able to replicate what they're doing at home. So, the goal is to kind of educate, teach, progress, but you want them to be able to kind of do it at home. And I feel like by setting them up with something like a VR or that kind of stuff, like, if you rely too heavy on it, you can almost count them on like not being able to continue that. But if you mixed it in, like, there's other equipment we have that usually they don't have at home, but if you mixed it in, like, then it all kind of can work out. So I definitely see it being more of like a clinic thing, and like you ran into, it's another thing you just have to clean, make sure you maintenance it, update it. Who's going to pay for the programs if you want a program? Um, you can't. Well, you can kind of, because you can put it on a TV and you can monitor what they're doing. But like, it's definitely something fun. Like, for example, I have a VR set and I love to play Beat Saber on it. And one of the hardest things is being on that VR set and then my foot doesn't have the proper balance. It works my balance doing something like that. So I definitely see the benefit, and I can see how it's fun and entertaining in a different way to look at therapy. Uh, I feel I would give this one a 50-50 shot of taking off.
Being more prevalent.
Yeah, I think
people
my
like
only
motion sickness.
Well, yeah, you would definitely have some people that you wouldn't.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to do that with them.
Yeah. I feel like, and this is gonna go into our next one. I feel like VR could end up being what I think our next one was. So the next point is,
hold on before we go into.
Oh, okay.
Like the number 3.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Before we go to number 3, so when I was working at my neuro clinic, it was definitely like they have way more fancier toys than anywhere else I've been, and they actually had something that's similar to the VR, where you stand in the middle, you have this harness on, and you're like in this giant half dome looking thing. So if you're looking forward, like, it covers your peripheral vision and everything. Yeah. And what they would do is like put you through simulations of like walking through a grocery store or walking outside, or you have to weight shift in order to control the plane. So I feel like it was kind of a version of VR, and some clinics are kind of already doing it. However, I don't think it's easily
accessible. I feel like that's even more tense.
More intense? That one,
for
sure.
Well, yeah, because it senses your balancing and everything like that. So if you start to get off,
yeah, so you're on a motion plate.
Yeah. So I feel like that to me makes more sense. But like, I feel like the VR is an easy way to do it too, without having to spend probably as much.
A boatload.
Yeah, but I do still feel like this might end up like number 3.
So number 3, video games. So video games, this is kind of the one we kind of went off on a tangent before we started the episode.
Mm-hmm.
But video games are becoming.
Really means Laura.
Yeah, this is where I stopped her and was like, we should record this. So video games are becoming more and more prevalent. A lot of them are trying to focus on mobility and exercises, not just the VR, but thinking about like the Wii, for example, which is one that we both come across. Mm-hmm. Now the Switch, where they do promote activities that require your performance, your balance, and just overall movement. So you want to go first, and then I'll talk about.
Well, yeah, pretty much. Like what we said is we brought up. They say that this is new technology that's going to take off. They believe in 2023, and I'm like, it's not new technology. We've had the Switch around for a while now. We've also had the big one was the Wii Fit and the Wii in general. I have been in places where they've used the Wii, and it's been fun. It's good. It's a different way to get patients engaged in different populations. But I don't think it's something that's a must in the clinics, and it does break. You have to make sure that you have the updates going on it. Like, it's just a little bit more maintenance than sometimes it's worth. And since those didn't take off, I don't really see any new games in particular that are going to make anything else take off right now. I could definitely see how it's beneficial in certain settings, like maybe pediatric, or if you have a bunch of like kind of younger kids, I can definitely see how they can work. But again, I just don't see this as new technology. B, I don't see this just taking off. Because we've seen it almost try and kind of fell, and that's where I feel like VR is going to fit into. It was like you'll have a couple places that do it, but I don't think anybody's really going to go hardcore of like this is the new way to treat.
So I agree with seeing this already in clinics. So when I was shadowing, they had a Wii, and kind of like you said, like it would be beneficial for peds. They used it for their peds patients, so kids that wanted to be there, and it was a way for them to be engaging with the different kind of games they can play, and just kind of like how you mentioned with the VR and you using it for Beat Saber and you feeling like your work. So I've used the Switch. I've played Ring Fit Adventure, which they actually mentioned in the article. And same thing, like I feel the work. I know it could be a good workout, but I agree. I feel like it's definitely very niche. Not many clinics will use it, and kind of like you said about VR, it might be in some places, but I don't think it would really take over unless it's like a peds clinic where they need something that's more engaging than just overall regular exercises.
Yeah, and again, just to kind of thinking about it even more, like it sounds good in theory, both VR and video games, but I think about the setup time, explaining the game, demonstrating the game, because that's something that's really going to have to be demonstrated, or walked through or talked through, on some of the games. It's going to take time to get them in and set it up to work properly for them. So it is challenging, and it it sounds fun. I just don't think realistically it's perfect for all settings by any means. So I just don't think it will take it for storm. I definitely think if like you need something new, hey, go for it, give it a try. But
yeah, I agree. I definitely see the benefits in it. But overall, it's just I don't think it's going to take over.
Yeah, I wish that'd be fun. I would have fun with it, but I just don't think it's going to be that new crave. And again, I still don't. Video games on this list as a new one. I'm like, no, this has been around.
I wonder if there's going to be like at some point just like a clinic where they specialize in like gaming and VRs. Like that's their sort of treatment.
Maybe. You never know. Hey, you make some money. Coin that idea.
Right? I'm going to open that clinic.
It up. Yeah, I just like, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like, think of like, the whole Pokemon Go when it first came out. Like the
that's
craze.
still popular.
No, I know, but the real
Not
craze, like everybody was doing it. And the whole point was to get everybody out and moving, which it got people out. I don't know if I really count them as moving per se for everybody, but it got them out. But like it was really popular. It took it by storm, and then it's kind of just slowly died down. Again, it's got some following, don't get me wrong, and I know it's a large following, but it's not like when it first came out by any means. So I feel like it would just be the same thing maybe in the field in general, where it would take off, and then it's gonna just kind of die out and just be one of those things where it's like, we have it, but we don't really use it.
All right. Well, with that, so today we're going to be covering those first 3. There are 6 overall in the article. We're going to go over a little more opinions. We're going to go over the other 6 in the next episode, so don't miss that one.
You mean the other 3?
The other 3, that's what I meant.
To make 6.
To make 6. If you're curious on what the article says, then you can go ahead and click the link below. That way you can kind of read up on it and then just wait for our next episode for our opinions on it. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to like, subscribe, share with your friends. It means a lot to us. Thank you for everyone for listening. We hit a new record last month, which is absolutely amazing.
Gosh.
Thank you to everybody.
I can't believe that record. Like, remember the day when we thought, hey, we'd be lucky if we had like 3 listeners a month?
And now we have 4. Booyah.
Woohoo! No, honestly, guys, it's been amazing. We hit a new record, like Ken said. We had over 500, right? 500 downloads in the month of February, which is absolutely insane because February was short too. And we can't thank you guys enough. We really, really feel grateful that you guys are enjoying the sessions. We've had some of you guys reach out to us, and it's absolutely amazing. Both me and Ken do this just because of the fact that we find it important for our field. We don't make any money or anything like that off of this. We literally do this in our free time between work and life in general, and we really enjoy it. And so we are very happy to hear that you guys are also enjoying it. So don't forget to share because that helps us out so much. And we are just floored by the support we've been getting.
Yeah, you said that way better than I did. I'm just getting over this. I'm getting over this cold, so it's like I'm trying to just muscle through it.
I know I got sick, you got sick. Life just in general has gotten a little bit of both of us too. Mainly me. I don't know. I've had like odd month fog brain.
But until then, we will catch you guys next week. Have a great weekend and take care.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
The information in this video or podcast is not intended nor implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. All content, including text, graphics, images, and information contained in this video or podcast is for general information purposes only and does not replace your professors or a consultation from your own doctor or healthcare professional.